Hello, I'm Alex Hare, and I welcome you to Australian Archives, a program of musical items featuring Australian artists of note and taken from the archives. And we begin this edition of Australian Archives with the Sydney singer Barbara James, working with Dick Freeman's Trocadero Dance Band in Sydney and recorded on the 4th of March 1940. The answer is love.
Little birds invest in a nest, do you know? Does anybody know the answer? The answer is love. What's the reason little girls and boys give up their toys, do you know? Does anybody know the answer? The answer is love. What caused the market crash that caused the big depression? What makes the world go round with the dizzy expression? Now what's the reason little Jack and Jill climbed that hill, do you know? Does anybody know the answer? The answer is love. Little Jack and Jill climb that hill, do you know? Does anybody know the answer? The answer is love is the sweetest thing. The answer is love.
I'll face the unknown. I'll build a world of my own. No one knows better than I myself. I'm by myself alone. I'll go my way by myself. Here's how the comedy ends. I'll have to deny myself love and laughter and friends. Gray clouds in the sky above have put a blot on my fun. I'll try to fly high above, for my place in the sun. I'll face the unknown. I'll build a world of my own. No one knows better than I myself. No one knows better than I myself. How I wanted love and fell. Now I say, what the hell? All of those dark days are gone. 'Cause it's solo, all alone, by myself, from now
Well, did you pick the voice of Tony Lamond there? From out of the 70s, a little bit later than recordings we normally feature on this program, but a good one from Tony, and a lovely, sensitive reading of By Myself. And before that, the program commenced with Barbara James with Dick Freeman's Trocadero Dance Band and The Answer Is Love. Of course, we remember Tony from the great days of IMT with Graham Kennedy. And speaking of IMT, our next grab comes from Doug Owen. In a 1967 appearance on IMT, he sings the Sweetheart Tree, and you'll recall this tune was from The Great Race by Henry Mancini. He wrote the song. Here it is.
They say there's a tree in the forest, a tree that will give you a sign. Come away with me to the sweetheart tree. Come and carve your name next to mine. They say if you kiss the right sweetheart, the one you've been longing for, big blossoms of white will burst into sight, and your love will be true evermore. They say there's a tree in the forest, a tree that will give you a sign. Come away with me to the sweetheart tree. Come and carve your name next to mine. They say if you kiss the right sweetheart, the one you've been longing for, big blossoms of white will burst into sight, and your love will be true evermore.
song in the air, but the fair senorita doesn't seem to care for that song in the air. So I'll sing to the mule, if you're sure she won't think that I am just a fool, serenading a mule. Amigo mio, does she not have an empty brain? She listens carefully to each little tune you play.
La bella señorita,
Si, si, mi muchachito, she'd love to sing it too if only she knew the way. But try as she may, in her voice there's a flow, and all that the lady can say is not so sweet like my Chiquita, you're the one for me. There's a light in her eye, though she may try to hide it, she cannot deny. There's a light in her eye. Oh, the charm of her smile, so beguiled Don Diego that he rode a mile for the charm of her smile. Amigo mio, is she listening to my song? No, no, mi muchachito, how can you be so wrong?
la bella señorita,
Si, si, la señorita, she'd love to sing it too if only she knew the way. Her face is a dream, like an angel I saw, but all that my darling can scream is the Señorita, don't sit them not so big as a mosquito, not so sweet like my Chiquita, you're the one for me. Olé!
The very talented John Weaving spent a lot of his life travelling all over the world performing, and a lovely tune there. From The Firefly, it was The Donkey Serenade. And before that, Doug Owen with the Henry Mancini tune The Sweetheart Tree, and that was taken from a 1967 appearance on In Melbourne Tonight. Back to 1928 now, and the 9th of March 1928, in Columbia's Homebush Studios in Sydney, and the Big Four recorded I Told Them All About You. Cliff Friend wrote it, and you may recall there was a popular version out in the 50s by Donald Piers.
I never knew that heaven shared itself with earthly things, that here on earth were angels without wings, until I first met you. I didn't dream that such a future could be meant for me, and all my past would be a memory, until I first met you. Had I but known before that you were to find me, think of the heartaches I could have left behind me. I couldn't see where love could do the things that people said, that it was only in the book you read, until I first met you.
That's a nice piece, isn't it? Until I First Met You. The voice was Jimmy Parkinson, the organ Wilbur Kentwell, and that piece was written by Wilbur Kentwell, and they recorded that one in the Parlophone Studios in Sydney on the 21st of October 1948. Before that, a nice bright one, a little bit worn, but good to hear. I Told Them All About You, and that was the Big Four, and they were a vocal quartet consisting of Harry Grundon, Charles Perrins, Frank Wignall and Cliff O'Keefe, and they were accompanied on the piano in that one by Harry Grundon. So Harry is obviously a man of many talents. Now let's turn to the Parlophone Merrymakers, directed by Cliff Clark. Vocal on this one by Sidney Birchall, again in the Parlophone Studios in Sydney, but in June of 1927, for the term of his natural life. Gene Hatton with the New Note Octet, directed by Albert Fisher. And Gene was known as Australia's Deanna Durbin, and that lovely number, You're as Pretty as a Picture. And before that, the Parlophone Merrymakers with the vocal by Sidney Birchall, For the Term of His Natural Life. And our final offering in Aussie Archives for this particular program, a George Shearing composition, Lullaby of Birdland, recorded in 1956 with Bruce Clark's orchestra accompanying the late Rochelle Turner. And here it is, Lullaby of Birdland.
Lullaby of birdland, that's what I always hear when you sigh. Never in my wordland could there be ways to reveal in a phrase how I feel. Have you ever heard two turtle doves, bill and coo, when they love? That's the kind of magic music we make with our lips when we kiss. And there's a weeping old willow, he really knows how to cry. That's how I cry in my pillow, if you should tell me farewell and goodbye. Lullaby of birdland, whisper low, kiss me sweet, and we'll go flying high in birdland, high in the sky up above, all because we're in love. Should tell me farewell and goodbye. Lullaby of birdland, whisper low, kiss me sweet, and we'll go flying high in birdland, high in the sky up above, all because we're in love.
Rochelle Turner, Bruce Clark's orchestra, and George Shearing's Lullaby of Birdland, closing this edition of Australian Archives. Australian Archives was conceived, prepared and produced by Alex Hare for Golden Days Radio. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.